getting distracted here and there. Let's directly enter into the first question: loneliness. What is loneliness?
I think it is a state of mind where a person feels that he's got only himself to fend for himself. So it is not physically being alone, it is also a place where you can be surrounded by a lot of people, yet feel that there's no one to help you and there's no one with whom you can connect.
I would definitely agree with is the world is this big, but somehow today the world has come between two thumbs for most of us.
Yes.
Technology, like I started off with also, has helped us bring farther people to the closest, and somehow I think the closest are becoming very far because of technology. Again, we can see many people, even in restaurants, two people are there busy with their mobile phones.
Imagine that the mobile phone convergence will be so complete that everything and anything that you need converges onto a phone. Today, you can't leave your phone back and go somewhere even for a walk because at the end of the walk, you're supposed to buy vegetables. I was reading a very unfortunate news piece by one of the television's great technology greats, I would say, not just television, where he said that the biggest competition for my film channel is sleep. So they're competing against sleep to promote that product. So they're trying to snatch that sleep, which is so critical to our away from that. So if you can get people to sleep 2 hours less and watch this television channel, it's going to be great.
Somewhere smartphones are getting smarter, we are becoming dumber.
Absolutely, absolutely. That means he's within us, and he's able to guide us all the time.
Hmm.
So he says, Tadhi tapaha, tadhi tapaha. Tapaha means alochanam.
Mhm.
We are not going to take things at face value. So we will also test it out,
Correct.
and if you get that experience, then
My grandfather used to use this word, Antaratma.
yeah,
Right? So, can we talk about that word?
active process.
Hmm.
It is not shutting down your mind from everything.
Hmm.
It is about shutting down your mind from everything else. Cricket matches have come down from 6 days. There were 7 days apparently at one time, then 5 days, then one day in T20. Soon it's going to be time for us to just put a toss and just stop. That was my start of my spiritual journey in a serious way. Was when I was just 4 or 5 years old. There was a Telugu movie called Bhakta Prahalada.
Welcome. Today, technology has helped us connect from one part of the world to another part of the world easier. We have access to n number of people. We have thousands of friends on Instagram. We have a lots and lots and lots of contacts and connections on LinkedIn. But truly, are we truly connected? Somewhere I feel loneliness is at an all time high. Somewhere, are we failing to connect with ourselves? To get answers to all of these questions, today I am here talking to Sunder Madhwacharya. He's a CMO of an IT company and he is also a part of Prime Minister's National Digital Innovation Council. Most importantly, he's passionately driving this project called as Ataha, which is Madhwacharya for the youth. Namaskara. My name is Ruthuparna and I've been a professional motivational speaker. From the past 9 years, I've interacted with a lot of students. I've done workshops for corporates. I've done leadership training programs. And one question that I often get is about loneliness. Today, I feel the world is suffering big time because of loneliness. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this podcast series. And, sir, what a day, what a time to be having this conversation. I feel absolutely fantastic.
Namaskara. Acharya Pavanosmakam. Acharyani cha Bharati. Devo Narayana Shishaha Devi Mangala Devata. From your introduction, I couldn't agree more with you about how I think, despite multiple forms, multiple methods, and unbelievable speed of connection, we live in a highly disconnected world. And I would agree with you and love to discuss more on this topic.
So, without getting distracted here and there, let's directly enter into the first question: loneliness. What is loneliness?
I think it is a state of mind where a person feels that he's got only himself to fend for himself. So it is not physically being alone, it is also a place where you can be surrounded by a lot of people, yet feel that there's no one to help you and there's no one with whom you can connect, and without being judged and without feeling that you can, and you can also try and find some solutions to the challenges that you face. I think at a basic minimum, that is what loneliness is.
Superb. So, directly, the next question: how is it that spirituality can help us get over this issue that most of the youth are suffering with?
Right. So the way I would like to, bifurcate the answer is there are two things that the two strains that we can pursue on this. One is the spiritual strain. The other thing is from a behavior perspective and from the perspective of changes that we can make around ourselves, which will help us overcome this loneliness. Two methods, and I like to take the second one first because that is more easy to do, and that is something that we hopefully can action into action, like a plan around it. See, the first thing, I think loneliness happens because of a certain sense of ego that we all carry.
Hmm.
We believe that we can solve all our problems, and we consciously seem to be making an effort to move away from others, saying, why should I ask X and Y for help?
Huh.
Why should I ask them for support? So it's a very conscious attempt that we've made to pull ourselves out of others, and when we do that, uh, you can only expect a reciprocal response, because people will feel that, okay, this person suddenly is moved away from all of us, maybe there is something that he doesn't want to engage. So they may make their attempts, but finally everybody's got their own world, they go back to that world. So the person has effectively self isolated. So that, I think, is one of the big reasons for this kind of an isolation.
So, loneliness is basically because of ourselves first.
Most of the times it's self-inflicted, and I think ego comes in the way, and or is a big, it sort of pivots this whole thing into happening into and converting that into loneliness. The other thing, I think, which is rather the reality of today's world, is that people, for that reason, choose to stay away from everyone else.
Hmm.
So it was very common in earlier days to find that people live in joint families.
Hmm.
Then they, at least the nuclear family itself was, by definition, nuclear family meant that it is the nucleus. It's going to be there together. But now we see even that is not the case. There were times during the day when everybody in the family used to come together. It could be a dinner, it could be watching a common soap on the television. All of us have grown up watching Mahabharata, Ramayana, Hamlog, and all these episodes. Many of the youngsters may on this show may not know these things, but yes, we enjoyed it together. So those provided a common platform for people to come together. So people, while they were watching a soap, they could still find the mirror image of them in those characters who were there,
Hmm.
and they would have a discussion about those characters, almost not knowing that they are talking about themselves.
Huh.
For right or wrong reason, everybody spoke about each other, everybody knew about each other. But today, I think this whole thing about everything converging onto a mobile phone and
Huh.
everybody being in separate worlds of their own has really accelerated this self isolation.
Hmm.
So from that perspective, this is something which is there. So we will of course address the spirituality as we go along.
Correct, correct. One thing that I would definitely agree with is the world is this big. But somehow today the world has come between two thumbs for most of us.
Yes.
Technology, like I started off with also, has helped us bring farther people to the closest. And somehow I think the closest are becoming very far because of technology again. We can see many people, even in restaurants, two people are there busy with their mobile phones. When we are talking about mobile phones, how can we get over that distraction?
Yeah, so I think that's a challenge because today what has happened is if you just roll back what happened 15 years back, this I'm talking purely from business technology perspective, was that everybody was expecting that everything will converge onto something. There was this concept of convergence which was not achieved. It was a north star that everybody wanted to go to, and slowly as the penetration of mobile phones increased, everybody thought mobile phone is where everything has to converge. But I can bet my right, left, and any other hand I have that nobody ever imagined that the mobile phone convergence will be so complete that everything and anything that you need converges onto a phone. Today, you can't leave your phone back and go somewhere even for a walk, because at the end of the walk, you're supposed to buy vegetables and that requires a payment app. And you don't have, nobody has cash these days. So you just go by that. The mobile phone has become the fulcrum of everything. So there is, I mean, there are enough videos and enough techniques that have already got discussed in terms of how one can reduce the amount of screen time that can be there. I think that's one very sure way of shutting down an electronic medium and connecting with the real world that is there. The mobile phones are not getting any less smart. With each passing generation, we will find ways by which it can be we can make people even more addicted. I was reading a very unfortunate news piece by one of the television's great technology greats, I would say, not just television, where he said that the biggest competition for my film channel is sleep. So they're competing against sleep to promote that product. So they're trying to snatch that sleep, which is so critical to our mental health, away from that. So if you can get people to sleep 2 hours less and watch this television channel, it's going to be great.
Somewhere smartphones are getting smarter, we are becoming dumber.
Absolutely, absolutely.
To put it in a more
Yeah,
blunt way. Superb. Somewhere I believe for every question of life, the spiritual side of answers are permanent compared to many temporary solutions. Life itself is not permanent, but spiritual solutions help us get more evolved. And who better than you who can suggest us the spiritual way which we left there, or the Madhwacharya way? How is it that this path can help us, one, to get back into that zone of being your best friend, and two, somewhere to align ourselves in the right path where we don't get distracted?
right. So if I can answer the second part first, I think we feel lonely and we feel the need to be constantly on a gadget, especially the mobile phone, only because we want to stay away from something. It's an escape mechanism, and that is because the anxiety within us is building over something. It could be for a variety of factors. It could be something at work, something in your personal life, just or simply having to fill up a void. I've got some 10 minutes, I don't know what to do with it, and within like 2 minutes, people get their phones out and try to play with it. I think this thing about having to deal with everything all by yourself and not having a friend or someone that you could speak to is the genesis of why we want to escape. Because I have not heard of anybody finding a solution simply because they did something on a mobile phone. It's still a human being who helps you. It's still a human connection which helps you try and overcome that. Now, if you look at it, Madhwacharya says it very well. He says, Vishnor me parama sruhat. He calls God as his best friend. That's why he says sruhat. And true to his nature, he has actually defined the different levels of friendship that we have.
Fantastic.
Right? So there is somebody whom we just know, they are whom we call as acquaintances. The second one is that people who know us but who want something from us. The third one is
So is it mostly like a transactional relationship?
it's more transactional with the balance in your favor. That means you are the giver in more or less in that relationship. The other person is there more to gain, but they're still technically friends. The category is where they're equal. So it's a question of give and take, but and it can be transactional, whatever. But this is the fourth category, which is called Sruhat. And Sri Raghavendra Swamiji defines it very well when he calls it Animitta Upakari. That means God is our friend, but he has absolutely nothing to gain from us. And we have everything to gain from him. It's a weird relationship. Yet God is prepared to accord the status of a friendship and not beggary in this context. It's a beggary. You have nothing to give, he has nothing to gain, and you have to get everything from him. That's beggary. But God calls it Sruhat. If you want to call me a friend after all this, I'm still prepared to accept you like a friend. So Madhwacharya calls him Vishnor me Parama Sruhat. Parama is supreme. In putting it in today's language, it is best friend. He is my best friend. And why so? Because he is within us. We don't have to go searching for him. We can say, no, if he is somebody who's a call away. Here you don't even have to call because he intuitively knows what is happening to you. Nobody can be closer to him than he is. That is why he's got a status which is higher than that of the father, the mother, the teacher, anybody else. Because all of them have limitations. God is a person who doesn't have limitations. And he has got his eyes everywhere. So one can say, yeah, that is true of even CCTV. But God has his eyes and his arms everywhere. That means he can not only see, but he can also action the way he wants. The police can see the CCTV footage, then they will have to conduct an investigation and so on. God doesn't need it. He's there. If he sees something is wrong, he will see it and action whatever has to be done immediately. And very importantly, God is Antaryami. That means he's within us and he's able to guide us all the time. So this guidance goes all the way up to Brahmaji. So Chaturmukha Brahma, when he was created by God, by Vishnu, he looks around and says, my God, what is this? It's so dark. It's completely dark. What is this? So he says, Tadhi tapaha, tadhi tapaha. Tapaha means alochanam, means contemplate. So I will give you gnana in two ways. One is sitting in front of you like a teacher. I will do that also. But I will also teach you intuitively. So if you close your eyes and contemplate on this question, you will get the answer. I will give you the answer in the second way, which is through us. So if we believe in this construct and we believe that there is somebody with us at all points in time who's having a watch on us and everything that's happening, I think progressively, this thought is not easy to come to one fine day. It takes some time. Like every other belief, every other faith, this takes a time. We are all very intelligent people. We are not going to take things at face value. So we will also test it out.
Correct.
And if we get that experience, then we will adopt it.
Fantastic. I think two words that are coming to my mind, if we can go deeper into it or simplify it more, it will be even more, useful, is what I think. One, when you were talking about God is within us, and to the levels of deeper state. Sometimes when we are, the CCTV example is something that I can resonate with this very well. Sometimes we know we are doing mistake, but we feel, who has seen it?
Yes.
Is where My grandfather used to use this word, Antaratma.
Yeah.
Right? So can we talk about that word called as Antaratma? Does it mean God is within? I want to know more about that. And two, when you use the word called as tapaha, we also have been aware to this word called as tapassu. Tapassu in English is closer to meditation. So, can you throw some light on two things? One is Antaratma, and two, Tapassu. What is it, and how do we explore these two things?
Yes. So both of them are very deep topics, first of all. So let us come to Antaratma. Antaratma is the form of God. God is got infinite forms. But that form of God who is within us, so even the place that he is there in our body is defined. He is a part of is he sits in a small hole, very, very, very small hole which is there in our heart. It's called Dahara Akasha.
Dahara
Akasha.
Akasha,
Akasha means space.
space.
Akasha, we use it in, say, Hindi or Kannada, like the sky. But this is meaning a space. So it is a very, very sukshma. That means very, very delicate, very small, so minute that we cannot see it with the naked eye. So God is there inside that. So
So, sorry
that,
to interrupt,
yes,
but is this why is where when we ask ourselves deep questions? Suppose, should I choose this career path or not? Should I continue this relationship or not? People, I mean, we always hear our friends also telling, listen to your heart.
yes, yes,
Is this
yes.
the space that you are referring
Correct,
to?
correct. So this Antaratma, this form of God is called Antaratma, and that he actually responds through what is called Sakshi or the conscience. So your conscience, they say that your conscience never lies. Exactly what you are saying,
Huh.
that you get all your answers, the correct answers. Not anything coming to our mind is not Sakshi, Pratyaksha. It is Sakshi, that is your subconscious mind, which actually manifests in this manner. So it will always give you the right answer. The fact is that people may to make the wrong decision despite getting the right input from the conscience, saying no, that is more convenient for me, and I know I'm not. We hear that people saying it also.
What will
I know I'm
society
not supposed
think?
to do this, but I'm doing it because I'm helpless. So they can create whatever reason they want, but ultimately that is what it is. So that is the concept of Antaratma. The thinking about God within us as an Antaratma is something that's a long process. It takes a lot of effort, lot of studies, lot of hypothesizing in your mind, practicing a number of these karmas, and over a period of time, the Shastras give a way by which that one can actually see the God who is there within us. That's a very high, evolved thinking. But to feel the presence of God, that can come to many people if they make an attempt in that direction. If they want to say that, yes, is there God within me, and have that experience about God being there for sure.
Any processes?
So one thing, it starts with basic meditation. That is the basic thing. So, and that actually I wanted to cover it when you were talking about tapaha,
Tapas.
right? So tapaha is a method to reach the Antaratma.
Antaratma. Oh, fantastic.
So tapaha is so tapas is the act. Tapaha is the concept. So tapaha is nothing but contemplation. It's not just meditation. Meditation is at a very surface level. Meditation as a concept in Shastras itself is a very superficial thing. One has to go deeper into that. Obviously, if God is telling Brahma to do contemplation, that means the contemplation is at a very high level. Everybody cannot think like Brahma because God's presence in Brahma is very high. We are lesser, beings. So we also realize it at our own level. A very important thing is when we are studying the Shastras, we have to realize that many of these things which are mentioned are ideal states. However, there is something for everyone there, right? Whenever you are reading about, say, some scientist, you are bound to think, oh my God, he invented this, he discovered this. If I go to some school here, will I be able to prove that E equal to mc square is wrong? I can't. So what do I do? Let me not study science at all. That's not the conclusion that we meet. We all have the capability to understand the Shastras at our own level.
Hmm.
That is how we have learnt everything else.
Hmm.
Everybody who studies English doesn't become Shakespeare. But that doesn't stop people from learning English and pursuing the studies of that like that.
Hmm.
So tapaha is contemplation.
Hmm.
It is about understanding something. It's a very active process.
Hmm.
It is not shutting down your mind from everything.
Hmm.
It is about shutting down your mind from everything else
Hmm.
other than what you
What
need.
is required? So that is where when we do, or when we tell, do tapassu on a particular
Yes.
concept.
Yes.
So you start contemplating as to what it is
Yes.
and what it is not.
Yes.
Superb, fantastic. So coming back to the topic that we started off with, loneliness. This being a major issue. Suppose I have to get over it. Let's say I am only facing loneliness in spite of being with a lot of people. What practices can help me in simple everyday routine? I am occupied, I'm a busy person, let's say. Or for youth, they're busy with their own projects, college, internship, maybe. And sometimes they'll also have to finish off the latest release series on Netflix. Amidst all of these things, what are some of the processes or practices that can help us become our best friends and also get to meet the higher version of ourselves?
Correct. So there are two things. So one is again what we can do as habits, and the other one is a spiritual aspect. So we'll divide it like that. I think that will help.
Correct.
See, from a habit perspective, first thing, let's face the elephant in the room. That's digital content. We have addressed it to a large extent, so we'll assume for a moment that that is taken out of the equation. That
Instagram
is one
Reels
of
is
the.
gone.
It's done. We know what we are supposed to do, and we'll all have to figure out our own ways of doing it. The second part is, I think, number one, what is happening is the, today I see people trying to avoid human interactions.
Hmm.
If I have to go to an event, I'd rather skip it, right? If somebody wants me to go and attend a wedding, so what's the minimum time I should be going and spending so that my attendance is sort of
Attendance is also
recorded?
counted,
Yeah. So I mean,
and
I wouldn't
minimal presence is also
minimum present. I don't want that person to complain tomorrow that I didn't show up, but I don't want to go. I think that has to stop. Second thing I think is for us to create some family time. I think the unit of the society is the family. It's not a hostel, it's not a club, it's not a pub. It's none of them form the society. They are part of the society, but the functional unit of a society is always the family. And I think it has to start from there,
Hmm.
right, where the family should start spending time together. It's as simple as that. We've had this concept of what is called quality time.
Hmm.
I think this is a concept which is an oxymoron.
Hmm.
If you have to spend time with people, what is this concept of quality? Why are you trying to measure quality in spending time with your own people?
Is it time without distraction, maybe?
It is, but that is what you're supposed to do anyway. By
Correct.
See, the intuitive meaning of quality time is that that's going to be short.
Hmm.
What comes out of that quality is that it's going to be short. I don't have time, so I'm giving you the 15 minutes, but those 15 minutes I will not get distracted.
Hmm.
Indirectly, I'm buying a license for that conversation to be super strong, because super short, because I don't want it can be very distracting for me as well. People have forgotten the art of actually sitting and having an open conversation
Hmm.
without getting distracted and getting bored very easily.
Hmm.
So that's why you see cricket matches have come down from 6 days. There were 7 days apparently at one time, then 5 days, then one day in T20. Soon it's going to be time for us to just put a toss and just stop.
So, when it comes to the spiritual practice, families ella bandaga, what is it that we can do in simple terms that can help us become the better version of ourselves and also overcome the problem that we are talking about?
Yeah, I think so. First thing I was talking about is family. The other one I think we should have is to actively cultivate a group of friends, which again we are losing. It's not the Facebook friends, it's not the connections on LinkedIn. It is the real friends whom we can meet in flesh and blood, often go visit each other, meet them, and so on. The spiritual side, now coming to the real spiritual side, is that when we try and understand God, we want to connect to him directly, there is always a password that is required for any connection, right? So for that, the best way to do that is to listen to scriptures, short 10 minutes, 15 minutes lectures which talk about God. For example, every day listening to Bhagavad Gita for about 15 minutes with the meaning of each shloka, right? There is enough and more which provides for that body of knowledge which talks about how God is connected to us. What is the relationship between God and us? We have thought that since we have broken a lot of other connections, even the connection with God is gone. That's not true. All the other connections may go. All the other connections may not be visible. But our connection with God is always there. Right? Otherwise, we wouldn't be sitting here and talking. Even people who don't believe in God are people who are protected by God. They may not be acknowledging it. So that kind of an intuitive feeling that you are connected to someone will come over a period of time. The best way to establish that connection, like we suggested, have this conversation, is a recitation of stotras. Stotras are nothing but that message, that email, that WhatsApp message that you are trying to send to God. Now, why don't we believe like that? Why don't we think on those lines? Is because we don't understand the meaning of these stotras.
Correct.
Right? If you knew what you were talking to about to God, why would it would be intuitive to you what you're calling him. And over a period of time, this sort of slowly and steadily it starts becoming a part of your life, that you, wherever you go, you feel you're sort of connected to some supreme force. Some days may be good days, some days may be bad days. Some you may be off here, you may be off there. There may be days when you can't even pray. Our mind is not, in its form, in that mood to be able to do that. But even those days, we are able to think about God. So Purandaradasa says it beautifully. Kashtadallirali, utkrishtadallirali, yeshtadaru mati kettirali. So, meaning your mind may be sad, it may be in an exalted state, overjoyed. Eshtadaru mati kettirali. Your mind, you might have lost your mind. You might have reached a stage when you can't probably do anything. You're completely paralyzed for many reasons. At that time, just thinking about God. They have not said you should recite shlokas, because even that may not be possible. But just thinking about God at that time can help you overcome a lot of these challenges. Now, when this will become the default option for you,
Correct.
with your best friend, the advantage is he should be your default option. He should be the first person. You had a great interview at a job place, he should be the first person to get to know. That's what you do. You might call your wife, may call your friend,
First option.
anybody. It could be anybody, but they are amongst the first people you do it. Here you don't even have to do that, because in the moment that you actually gave a great interview, God was within you, witnessing the whole interview and giving you the power to do this. So he will get to know first. But it becomes a habit for you to communicate that with God also. So intuitively people do communicate this to their best friend, saying it's all because of God that this happened. I have given so many interviews, it has not worked, but he was standing next to me and helping me overcome this. Why anything else? If you just sort of go back into your own life and remember all those moments that you have faced as difficulties, you will be stunned as to how you overcame that. So clearly there was some force which was helping you, achieve that. Whereas so many other people, unfortunately, fell by the way. But you were able to do that, or someone else were able to do that.
Makes sense. Super.
Mathematics is not adding up, isn't it?
Makes sense. So let's say I'm a beginner and I have to start. What is the book or what shlokas should I start with, or what podcasts, if you know, would you suggest that I start with? And simply starting doesn't make sense. It is also along with meaning. So any recommendations and suggestions that you have?
Yeah, sure. So I think the great place to go for all this is, as usual, the Bhagavad Gita. And
Which
there are
version of Bhagavad Gita, or whose version?
yeah. So there is a book called Gita Madhu, which has been written in English.
Okay.
I'm only recommending English books for the purpose of the podcast,
Yes.
because I believe most of our audience is
English.
listening to English. It is written by Dr. Vyasankare Prabhanjanacharya,
Okay.
my guru. He has written a simple translation to the Bhagavad Gita in English. So that is one book that will be, which is really small, which is just two-line meaning for a two-line shloka. It's as simple as it can get and very direct. So I think I would suggest that people should start listening to that. Apart from this, we have shot many videos which are available on the Ataha Madhwacharya for the Youth YouTube channel, which has addressed these
This
topics.
channel, yes.
Not exactly these topics, but allied topics like anxiety and spiritual health, mental health. We've done a lot of these, and be able to do this. Listen to this. The third thing I would recommend everybody is that every day they should listen to the Vishnu Sahasranama. It is the most powerful shloka acknowledged by everybody.
Why?
So there are many reasons. It probably needs a 30-minute podcast only for that. But
one more version then.
Yes. So we have.
But in 2 minutes.
Yes.
Just the kid within me is very curious to know.
So again, you should go to Madhwacharya for the Youth channel. There are 3 episodes we have released recently. This as late as 1 month back, where we have talked about the greatness of Vishnu Sahasranama. Okay. So it has got this. But in short, it was recited in front of Krishna by Bhishmacharya, and it was the answer to a question that Yudhishthira had put. So it's a part of Mahabharata, which is the most important reason. And Mahabharata is considered the Panchama Veda. So within the most important text is Mahabharata. Within Mahabharata, the 2 most pivotal pieces are Vishnu Sahasranama and Bhagavad Gita. They occupy very, very important positions in the already important text of Mahabharata. So this is like the essence of the juice that is there finally. That is that Vishnu Sahasranama that is there. Now, what happens is that Vishnu Sahasranama itself is long and one may not be able to recite it, one may not be in the mental state. In which case, at least they should listen to it. Last thing, I think, see, if people do it on an ongoing basis, consistently, say every day, then first of all, they will get the whole stotra by memory very fast because of its alliterations and the way it is there. But also, I think what happens, as I said, this becomes a natural place to go to. Right? This natural is important, because when our mind is clogged with so many anxieties, if you recollect, it always goes to your default positions. So if you have had some trusted friend, you will only go to that person. You might not have talked to that person for 3 years, but he's still your best friend. So you will still go to that person for everything. So the more you do it, the more intuitive it becomes, the more it becomes like a natural movement for you. The stotra will help you, get into that situation.
So 3 things to start off with. 1 is Bhagavad Gita.
Yes.
And 2 is Vishnu Sahasranama.
Listening to the Vishnu Sahasranama.
And 3 is, what a fantastic conversation. Now, I want to go a little personal and ask you, as human beings, all of us face every sort of emotion. There is anger, there is sadness, and also I believe loneliness to an extent is an emotion. Even if I have a lot of friends around me, chances are I might feel lonely. Or opposite is also true. Even if there is nobody else, I can feel I have the world with me. What do you do when you feel lonely? Everybody has their way of finding a solution. What is your solution?
See, one thing I must say that different points in time, I've been very lucky to have one or two friends who I was really close to. So I would by default talk to them and share the cause of my loneliness.
Hmm.
Of course, till my mother was there, I think she was the default person I would go to, especially when I was a teenager and growing up. I think she was of a very big support, and she's guided me through a lot of these things. And she was an intuitive person, so she would even sense, even when I have not told her, she would still come and sort of be
Something is
helpful.
wrong.
Something is amiss, I can see it. The I think after that was I think after I got married, I think it's my wife. And now as my son is sort of growing up, I would count him as also one of my best friends with whom I can share. And I've been very fortunate to have a few friends, if not a lot, but I have a few friends I can go to, but to share these things. Uh, However, at the foundational level, one movie which made a big impact, that was my start of my spiritual journey in a serious way, was when I was just 4 or 5 years old. There was a Telugu movie called Bhakta Prahalada, which was released,
Wow. Huh.
and it was one, I think I still rate it as one of the best films that was ever made
Hmm.
for its age and times. The technology and the way the whole concept of was presented, I think I've got goosebumps even thinking about it even today. Brilliant actors.
What is the entire movie all about?
It's all about Bhakta Prahalada. It's about this devotee called Prahalada, who appears as a part of Bhagavata, and his father is Hiranyakashipu, who is a demon, and who hates Lord Vishnu, and is all out to ensure that any trace of Vishnu, in terms of anybody taking his name, everything is completely, is vanquished.
Hmm.
So he goes about that, and then to find later that his son himself, who's all of 5 years old, is a great devotee of Lord Vishnu himself, and he's born in his house, and he tries to kill him, his own son, and it doesn't work out. Lord Narsimha, Vishnu takes incarnation as Lord Narsimha, and he's born, and he kills the demon. So this movie, the way and it was that of a child who was of my age. So somewhere there, I think I started identifying myself
As
with that
Prahalada. Huh.
at Prahalada, and wherever I would go, everybody would ask me to recite the story.
Hmm.
Even as a child, and I would recite the whole story,
Hmm.
and everybody would sort of like it. And it was very musical, a lot of songs in it, and those songs I think are very popular in
Hmm.
Telugu, even in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana even today. Though that movie I think made a very big impact on me as I look back. So from then on, it was the whole message was that God is everywhere,
Hmm.
right? And he will come to your rescue anytime.
Hmm.
Because when Hiranyakashipu challenges him, he says that the Lord Narsimha is right in this pillar,
Hmm.
and he goes and breaks the pillar, and God comes out of it. Somehow that whole immediacy and that omnipresence about God got registered in my mind at a very young age. And of course, as I grew older, my mother would take a lot of effort to keep telling me stories like this of inspiration.
Hmm.
I think not only her, my aunts and others also have done that. So it has become like a habit for me, and something that I've been counting on in some of the most difficult times.
Superb.
So when you believe that you've really reached the dead end,
Hmm.
and then you find a solution once, that becomes your experience. So if what I think is dead end for me, there is somebody who's thinking at a higher level and he can solve it. If you have that relationship with God, I think you're done.
Not lonely. Very good. Your first answer told find your best friend and share what you're going through. Somewhere I feel today relationships are getting very shallow. And sometimes it is also insecurity. Maybe I am facing a problem, and if I share it with you, I'm insecure where tomorrow you might laugh about the same with me. How do we build good friends? How do we build friends where we can even be psychologically very naked with them? And I know this is more about friendship, but this is also very essential. Choosing the right friend.
Yes. No, it is. See, again, this is. I don't view it as a psychology question at all. I view it like a spiritual question only, because I think for all this, our ego is coming in the way. So, for example, we are assuming that somebody is going to judge me on this,
Hmm.
right? We are assuming that that person will make fun of us next day. So, I think if you stop doing it to the others,
Hmm.
and you create a safe environment for them to come and talk to you like this, they become the automatic place that you can also go to. If you have not given them that warmth, not likely that they will give you that warmth. These things are very mutual, I feel. The other thing I think is that you should not let that ego come in the way of everything that we do. See, today the challenge that we have is that ego can be seen even at a level of a child. A child which is just barely able to stand has got its own ego,
Hmm.
because we are creating very very high expectations
Hmm.
from people. So they are not viewing their classmates as their friends. They're looking at them as competitors right at that age. Look
Hmm.
at that child, look at that. You should be like that. Look at how good that person is. Look at how this person won a chess championship. When that person, look at this cricketer who's made debut at the age of 14, and you are all of 20 and you've not made debut anywhere. So if you keep comparing, the child knows that it cannot be close to anybody. You are creating that environment where everybody and anybody is your competitor. So what do? Just don't have any friends.
Hmm.
Be in your cocoon, be in your mobile, keep scrolling Instagram and YouTube and everything. Create a false world of yourself. I know that is false, but I'm still going to be there because I don't have a anywhere else to go.
So, how do
It's
we
safe.
get
It's very safe.
over that ego? How do we connect and build meaningful connections? I think rather than having 100 friends like that, having even 5 friends whom you can be yourself makes a lot of difference.
Yeah, I
How
think
do
it's
we build that?
I think it's again this is a very personal uh, equation that you have to draw with people. As I said, first thing, you should stop judging people. You should stop comparing people with others, comparing yourself with them. And I think this one small thing which somebody had pointed out to me was actually talk about them first whenever you're in
Make
a
others feel
conversation.
special, huh?
Yes, special or at least equal. Here, if you're going to somebody and just say, okay, look, this is what I did, this is what happened in my life, that person makes the mistake of asking you, so how are you doing? And next 45 minutes you're talking about yourself. That person is not likely to find that connection with you. It's more like, okay, this guy is coming with a barrage of things on me and he's going to let loose all those things. Instead, listen to what you have to say, and give that person that warmth that you're indeed listening. Being an active listener is a very important skill which none of us know. We are not taught. We're taught how to be great speakers, but nobody is teaching us how to be great listeners. So if we can also listen, internalize, and be able to catch that that person is saying something, but that person actually looking for some help.
Hmm.
So sometimes people are not very good at asking for help. You have to take that extra step and do this. If you do these two, three things, I think it is setting a very strong foundation for a good friendship.
Super. Very important question. Somewhere I believe, if not friends, my biggest fallback option is my parents. And somehow today, maybe because the world demands or the cost of living is too much, it is a necessity for parents, both the parents, to work. And the presence of parents is very short and limited. In this short, limited time, what is it that youth can do to get connected, to be themselves, and to be in a position where they can share any challenge they're going through and not feel like what will my parents feel and all of these things. So please do give a suggestion there on that.
Yeah, so this is a fairly large, this is a fairly fundamental challenge, I would say. Why I'm saying fundamental, because of the reason that we call the family the building block of a society. I think first thing is we have to realize that a lot of onus of this is on the parents, eh, to start with. Then the equation sort of changes as the child gets older. But parents are the role models for everything that the child learns. It's very, very, very clear. I've seen this very clearly. If the parents are short tempered, I've seen this, that the child somehow believes that being short tempered is okay. And in fact, that's how you should be.
We learn by seeing.
By seeing. And Mata Prathamo Guru. So these are the only two people the child sees anyways, to start with. The other thing, at the same time, I've also seen children who are extremely calm in their demeanor. Nothing can shake them, nothing can get them excited easily. They're very calm, they're very thoughtful, very, very nice to everyone. And you think, where this child is behaving so well, how is it? Immediately you can trace it back to the behavior of one of the parents. Or it could even be the grandparents who have had a big influence on the child. If they're all staying together, that's a big advantage that they get. Grandparents have more time to give to their children to nurture them as well.
Is that why children connect to grandparents better than parents?
It's a pure time issue. They have all the time. The children want all the time. The parents don't have the time. So the connection happens very well because it is that. And grandparents have a much better way of teaching the children, which is not instructive. They tend to be they are more influences than instruction driven. Children like that because they believe that they're intelligent enough to catch whatever their grandparents are telling without being instructed. Most children don't like being said, you should do this, you should do that. So shoulds get on to people, children's mind very easily. So I think that is the starting block where parents have to check their behavior in front of their children, especially. I'll give you an example about relationship. Let's say there's somebody who's come home and the parents are treating their guests very well. And after the guests go, there's a real life example that happened. After the guests have gone, the parents say, oh God, these people are no good. So the child immediately says that, for 2.5 hours, my parents hosted somebody, said all the good things about them. The moment they left, they're bad mouthing. So the child does not know who is right. But this thing about having double standards slowly starts to set them. Right? As opposed to saying, no, this is how we are. And encouraging the child to be truthful with them is very important. So don't break promises. It's very important with children.
Living like an example.
And for getting them to trust you comes with being able to fulfill the promises that you make.
Honor your commitments.
Yes, honor your commitments. If you have said something, and this is not restricted to, okay, I will get you this and I will get you that. Not just that, but much more than that. It's fine to tell that no, I will not get you this, and stick to that. That is also keeping a promise that you didn't get it. You say, no, this is not good for you. Or, sorry, we don't have all the money in the world to buy this fancy item. It's fine to say no. So the child will get used to the fact that everything in this world has got an answer which can be yes or it can be no. Instead of the default being yes for everything. Today, I think we are seeing a lot more of that precisely because the parents are not spending enough time. So the corruption has started at that level. The bribery
What
started.
can the child do to get connected back to that?
So I think child at a young age obviously will not know these things, right? The child is just forming as we speak. But as the child grows, I think it should understand one thing, that its family is something which will always stand by them.
So even if parents don't spend time, you demand time.
No time, so that the child cannot do, as I said.
I mean,
it
like
has
a
to
youth
come,
or a college boy.
yeah, it has to come from both ways. And at the same time, this whole stereotype that we are having in the society, that the moment the child gets, grows over 16, he lives a life of his own, is wrong. So here comes the importance of something which I believe is going to change, which is rituals. You should perform rituals. So every family has rituals. So for example, every Sunday breakfast, lunch and dinner is together. That's the family ritual. Every year the family goes for a vacation. That's a ritual. Every time the family is in an anxious mood, you know what? Just do 10 minutes of meditation together. Group meditations anyway have been proving to be more effective than individual meditations, because you get the positive energy of others also as well. So if you are able to do things like this and find common ground, right, it is a very big advantage. Earlier people say, if you want to have family time, switch off the television. But if you have this phone which is in everybody's hands, there has to be a time when you decide 9:30 to 10 or whatever is the time, there is a no mobile phone zone, and stick to that. Simple things like this, I think, can help build this culture. I remember at one time in Bangalore that we were staying, there were very frequent power cuts for hours together. And those were moments of silence, because you could not do anything. You can't go out, you can't be inside, you can't study, you can't read, you can't do anything.
We
no
loved
television.
those power cuts because of this primary
With
reason.
this one. So slowly we realized that we were all enjoying that time. Just light a few candles. It's not the brightest place in the world, but we got the time together. COVID was another time where many people, very families, they say that our family survived together only because we were all together. And thanks COVID to that. Thank COVID for that, despite the havoc it created in the world.
Fantastic. I think it was such a beautiful conversation, and I loved the way from loneliness we also delved into some deep spiritual topics, which we again have to sit for. Things like why Vishnu Sahasranama, because these are the questions that is always there within me as well.
Yes.
And loved the way we spoke about Antaratma, Tapassu. But summarizing, just correct me if I go wrong. One is you've got to be your best friend. Every time you feel lonely, connect with 2 3 people, share what you are going through. 3, don't put yourself into a space where you are filled with ego, you don't want to connect with people. Connect with people. 4 is family is your biggest asset.
Absolutely.
So ensure you have good quality family time, and you can make those family time more interesting, more beautiful through one. It can be conversation, to activities, and also dwelling into deep spiritual practices. That is where we mature, we understand, we grow, we evolve as well. Right?
Absolutely.
Anything I missed out?
No, I think you summarized it very well on these topics. I think one I would strongly suggest everybody is to alt amongst the multifarious methods and techniques that we explore for anything. I think you should have spirituality as one of them. It should come in more intuitively, more naturally to each one of us. I can see that over the years, the last few years and last few years, this has sort of deepened. More and more people are aware of spirituality, getting to understand this, but I think we have a very long way to go. We should have this as a default option.
Default
That's what we are trying to do at Ataha, the Madhwacharya for the youth activities.
Fantastic.
Make God your first option.
Lovely. It was such a lovely conversation. Thank you so much, and looking forward to hearing more.
Thank you. Thank you so much.